All right, shalom, shalom, first and foremost. As always, I want to start off by giving a call, Halayim, Laya, Hawa, Bahashim, Hawa Shai, Bahashim, Kafidash, which in the Palo Hebrews is they all praise to the Heavenly Father, in the name of His only begotten Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit, and the honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone, rule and teacher of all in His truth one. And may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon the hopefully elect that believe in His truth and sincerity. It's your brother Ayash and Yah coming back to the spirit, power, and mercy of Yahweh, Bahashim, Hawa Shai. Lord willing, this be edifying lesson to a member of the Lord's elect. Something I've been dwelling on, and I know this is gonna be a two-part video, but just speaking on our roots versus their roots, which when I say roots, I'm speaking of history. So our history would be the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native and Seminole Indians, and their history or their roots would be the Edomites, the so-called white man, beginning with the wicked elite bankers. And it's something I've been dwelling on based off of something that Stevie said on stage at Uncle Charlie's memorial a few weeks back. He and I did a lesson on it. Various brothers, apostles, elders have did lessons on it. But he mentioned how they know that their lineage goes back to Athens, to Rome, okay, so on and so forth. Which the scriptures, which Athens and Rome was both ruled by Edomites, okay, everywhere else he named, but the scriptures actually record the history of what took place during those captivities, and more specifically, what took place during the Grecian captivity, because Athens was one of the capital cities of the Greek Empire. Okay, and when you read in First and Second Maccabees, that history was recorded during the Greek Empire. Okay, so I just want to dive a little bit into what happened. Okay, as what happened in regards to their roots and our roots, because both roots or both sides of the two, if you will, are recorded within the scriptures. The sides of the Edom, what happened, what the Edomites was doing, what the Israelites was doing, because we see the same thing taking place today. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start with that. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Hold on. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be. The past, meaning it's something that can most likely will happen in the future. Okay, and that which is done and that which shall be done, there is no new thing under the sun. Let's read it in the NLT. History merely repeats itself. Okay, it has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Okay, and why does history repeat itself? Because the people are living. They repetitively come back into the flesh. Their spirits are recycled upon the planet Earth, and their ways are carried out over and over again. So just as you read throughout the scriptures, namely First and Second Maccabees, you read about the spirits that the the so-called Greeks was coming in, who was really Edomites. Those spirits are back today, and they're coming in the same spirit, the same vibration. So this, I'm gonna start up at the top, and then I'm gonna jump down. First Maccabees chapter 1 and 1, and it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian. This is who they call Alexander the Great or the Greek, which he was neither. He was great in terms of being the Edomite. He did accomplish a great thing, but nonetheless, he was still fucking wicked. He's still an Edomite. Okay, so it says Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, showing you that he wasn't the Greek, which they neither were Macedonians. That was just a landmass that they inhabited at the time. It says, who came out of the land of Chittim, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay, so meaning what? Meaning Alexander was the first king. Okay, he was the first king. Verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So this is the beginning of the Greeks. Okay, the so-called Greeks, which was really Edomites again, because the original Greeks are Japhetic, melanated people. Okay, brown-skinned people. But at this time, this is the beginning of their roots, if you will. Okay, when you read in Daniel, the 7th chapter, it mentions of the third beast being likened unto a leopard, which the characteristics of the leopard is swift and quick. Okay, it's agile. And when you go into the history of how long it took Alexander to conquer the landmass he did, some scholars say 12, some 11, some say 10 years. Okay, which the land masses that he conquered within that roughly 10 years, it was a large amount of land, and to be able to do it in such a short time span was a great thing. But nonetheless, verse 3, and went through to the ends of the earth, talk about the known world, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, meaning everybody was in submission, in subjection. Yeah, they just seen the wars. They say he made many wars and won many strongholds. So all the other heathens, okay, everybody in the known world at the time knew of his reputation. So therefore, they was in submission unto him. Just as today, okay, we see an extension of that Grecian Empire, which turned into the Greco-Roman Empire, and the Greco-Roman Empire is revived today through America and its conglomerates, its confederates, known as the NATO and the EU. Okay, but mainly America, because America is also likened unto a beast itself. Okay, America has made many wars and won many strongholds, has conquered many countries, pushed democracy, set up military bases, set up embassies, and it was to the point where the whole earth was quiet before them. Nobody was bulking up against America going back a couple of decades ago. Nobody was bulking up against America, coming against what they said was okay. No, everybody was quiet before them. So this just goes to show you that this is the history repeating itself in a sense. It says, verse 3, finishing out the verse, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. And just like Alexander was exalted, meaning he was in a state of pride, he's in a prideful state, America has obtained the same pride. Why? Because they was able to make many wars with all these different heathens and bring them into subjection without nobody defying them. But now the Lord is defying them through his men and also through putting the spirits on these other nations to come up against them. But nonetheless, not to get too far from the point, verse 4, and he gathered a mighty strong coast and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries over him. Okay. And when you read on, it goes into how he parted the kingdom into his four generals. But I want to get to the main point, because when you go into the Grecian Empire in the early stages of it, the Israelites was not being forced to forsake their way. They was not being forcibly converted unto taking on the Greek customs. No, it wasn't until a wicked root of that wicked seed line, because all the Edomites wicked, but it was a particular wicked root that the scriptures highlight, who then brought such turmoil upon Israel to the point where they was forsaking the Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and those that did believe on Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, they was getting persecuted unto death, you know. But nonetheless, First Maccabees 1, verse 9, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, going into his four generals. He had more than four, but the scriptures highlight four when you read the Daniel, the third chapter. I mean, Daniel, the seventh chapter, when you read about the third beast. You notice it had four wings on his back, which was speaking of his four generals. Speaking of Ptolemy, Seleucus, Lysimachus, and Cassander. Okay, those were his four main generals that received the majority of his land. Okay, and the scriptures even boil it down to the Seleucus and the Ptolemaic Empire. Okay, but nonetheless, verse 3, no, so did their sons after the many years, so that constant power was handed down from this king to this son, from that son to this next son. You know, it says, and evils will multiply in the earth. So the same roots and lineage that they say that they can trace back to Athens and whatnot. Guess what? When we read in the Bible, when that lineage came into power and what was taking place, it said evils will multiply in the earth. Why? Let's go to real quick Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases. But the righteous shall see the fall. Let's read it in NLT. When the wicked are in authority, sin flourishes. Why? Because the wicked, okay, they are going to do nothing that the scriptures say to do. Therefore, they will be doing everything contrary. That's going to result in a bunch of death. But the death going to start in the mind, thinking it's okay to eat unclean foods, to commit unclean and abominable acts. These things, these things are sin, transgression, and they eventually result in death. Okay, so that's how the sin flourishes. Okay, with the vibration of the wicked being in power, and let's read this real quick. Not that. Sirach chapter 10 and verse 2. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. You see? So when we read in First Maccabees, let's read it again in chapter 1 and verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, meaning what? The generals, the Alexander, the Greek, the great, whatever you want to call them, the Crete, whatever. Okay, all his generals, they was in authority, and the sons that ruled after them was in authority one by one. Okay, so guess what? So did their sons after the many years, and evil to multiply on earth. Why was evil multiplying on the earth? Because this was the wicked ruling. This was the wicked multiplying. Therefore, the sin was flourishing, and transgression was increasing. The wicked was ruling, and everybody underneath their suggestion had no choice but to be like them. Especially when you read about Antiochus Epiphanes, that's what going to go into. First Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surname Epiphanes. It's like out of them, out of which one? The Seleucid general, okay? The Seleucid Empire. This is Antiochus the fourth, surname Epiphanes. It says son of Antiochus the king, who was the third, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Now, verse 11. In those days, at the same time, Antiochus Epiphanes came into power, okay, which the wickedness was already flourishing, but he came in a more hostile manner with it, if you will. Okay, because this is going to read verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Niggas was selling out. Why? It says that around about us, for since we departed from the, we have had much sorrow. Because at this time, with wickedness flourishing, and now things becoming more draconian, if you will. Remember, we reading about during the Grecian Empire, which draconian goes back to an actual man named Draco, which was an Athenian law scriber, lawgiver, and he passed laws that proposed the harshest punishments for the most minuscule crime. So at this time, you had a lot of to- totalitarianism, okay, a lot of tyranny. Let's look at that word real quick. You had a lot of tyranny taking place. Tyranny, etymology for tyranny, the government of a tyrant. Of a tyrant in the ancient sense, also cruel or unjust use of power. One of the unjust uses of power that was taking place was them telling everybody to forsake their ways and come underneath the ways of the Greeks, which ultimately Hellenization. Okay, and Jake was caught up in this, and you had sellout Jake's like, "No, this is getting bad. We can't. We need to submit. We need to be like them." Because it says First Maccabees 1:12. So this device pleased them well. Devices a plan. Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king Antiochus Epiphanes, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Okay, and you could keep on reading, and you see how Jake sell out. But let's go to the spirit, the vibration that that Antiochus Epiphanes is coming in. Okay, you read about how Jake sell out, and that's also why the Lord had the spirit on Antiochus Epiphanes to do such treacherous things unto our people, because they were selling out. And also to prove those who truly have faith in him. Let's jump down. First Maccabees 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom, everybody that was in subjection under him, that all should be one people. Okay. And everyone should leave his laws, whatever customs, heritage they grew up knowing. So all the heathen agreed to the according to the commandment of the king, and the same thing is happening now. Okay, everybody now this is under the guise of everybody coming underneath the fold of trusting in technology, following after the science. AI, AI this, AI that. We need AI, AI, AI. This is the same spirit. Okay, it's nothing about because you got. He said everyone should leave his laws, which is the ways that they know. This so-called China man is not gonna learn nothing about Buddha following after this AI, you know, or so like I ain't gonna say it, I ain't gonna put it like that. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. There is gonna be no vibration of the other gods of the heathens. Okay, even more so the God of Yahweh, of the Bible, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh Bashim Shah. There's gonna be none of their vibrations being demonstrated in this AI. Okay, no, it's gonna be the self-proclaimed white man and his man-made wicked ass vibration that's gonna be forwarded. So it says, verse 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Let me see. Verse, what's this? Verse So like you had to let it jig go fast. First Maccabees 1:43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Okay, and when you continue to read, it goes into, for the sake of time, I'm gonna jump down, but it goes into the different ways that also he calls Jake to be Hellenized. And what was the point of it all? Verse 49. To the end they might forget the laws and change all the ordinances. And whosoever will not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. The same spirit is coming back today. Okay, let's go to this Revelation chapter 13. To the same system, which that system was absorbed into the Roman Empire. That's what they call it, the Greco-Roman Empire. And we see the revival of the Greco-Roman Empire in these latter days. That same system, same spirit is being pushed. Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, just like Antiochus Epiphanes had the power to make the decrees and certain laws and was put in place. And if you didn't do this, you would have to suffer like this and be put into this camp. Or same way that happened back then, the same thing is happening now. They passed the different laws and decrees that's putting the people into a box, pushing the people into a corner. And the only way out is gonna be two things: submitting and bowing down to their ways, or death. Okay. Just as Antiochus said, First Maccabees 1 and 15, whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. Okay, let's go back. Revelation 13 and 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. The beast is once again a revival of the Roman Empire, which has came back through America and its conglomerates, its confederates, the NATO and the EU. And that he is speaking of the Edomites that ruled in ancient Rome and they ruling again today, but they call themselves the so-called white people, so-called Caucasian race, but it begins with their wicked elite bankers. They the ones that got the power to give life into the system we see, to be able to establish different things and pass different bills and laws and things of that nature. So it says, and he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak. We see it speaking, the forwarding of the AI. Okay, the crack it down on the so-called domestic terror, you know, which that's all actuality. They want to get rid of anybody that deems or poses a threat to them establishing the NWO. And who the main threat? The prophets. Okay, but nonetheless, it says that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast shall be killed. Okay, and this is literal. This is the system see being established. Okay, and it's only a matter of time before this prophecy is playing out before our very eyes, where they could get to the point where the MOTB, which is the RFID, be made mandatory underneath the penalty of death, and those that don't take it, they're gonna be carried away in the concentration camp. Okay, and they're gonna be presented with the opportunity for one last time, more than likely, and then if they don't take it, they're gonna get their heads chopped off. Why? Because it's the same spirit. I'm gonna read it again. Their roots versus our roots. I'm gonna go into more of the Maccabean side, but this I just pretty much wanted to get the point of how the spirit that they came in. Because the thing is, when you continue to read, they brought hell on Jakes that wasn't conforming. Okay, that wasn't bowing down. The same thing's happening now. Okay, they about to bring hell on the Israelites that don't conform. Okay, mainly the ones that trust in Yahweh Shem Shah, because you're gonna have those who are people that's gonna rebel, just to rebel for the sake of not bowing down, but they're not gonna be calling on Yahweh Shem Shah. Revelation 13, but that was it. First Maccabees 1. I'll keep reading verse 51. In the self same manner rode he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanded the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. So they was going one by one, city to city, to see who was going to bow down. Is that can we not see that being brought up in the near future? No wonder Trump is calling for these different troops and ICE agents. Yeah, right now it's underneath the guise of cracking down on immigration, but in the near future it's going to be in the name of whether or not you're going to bow down to their system. Okay. Um, Verse 52, then many other people will gather unto them to wit everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. You see, they're gonna see it's gonna be to see who's gonna forsake what they believe in. Okay, you gonna forsake Yahweh by Shema Shah? Okay, that's the spirit that they're gonna be coming in, and everybody outside the truth is just going to get caught up in the crossfire. I'm gonna close with this. Um, this is Second Ezra, because these things is coming to pass in the near future. Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 74. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same, you see. And the thing is, The days of trouble is here. Like the apostles and elders have been saying, if GMS beginning with Apostle Hall on down, Jacob's trouble is already here. It's just beginning. Okay, and it's only a matter of time before they click the internet, take the prophets' mouths be shut, and they come with full steam head on. If that makes sense, you know. But the Lord said that He's going to deliver His elect from those same times. Because the Lord is the one bringing these times. The Lord is the one that got the spirit on these devils. Just like He put the spirit on Antiochus Epiphanes. And after so long, He cut him off, smote him with that incurable disease. Same thing gonna happen now. The Lord gonna allow him to execute wrath, which is the Lord's wrath, but up to a certain point. Then He's gonna smite him. Okay, He's gonna return and shut it all down. So Lord willing, this is edifying. Close, I'm gonna give Kyle Lion like how about Shimon or Shabbat Shem and double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule and teach over all unto truth from me. Peace, mercy, and blessing be upon the hope of the elect that believe in the truth, sincerity, to the I say, come here, so I'm gonna walk off the floor.